Hello, and welcome to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway podcast. That's right. Your host and tour guide is Scott Prevett, a healer, hypnotist, and a magician. And your bus driver is Jason Gobelli, also a hypnotist, an entrepreneur, and a spiritual guide. Disclaimer, neither Jason, Scott, or any of our guests here today are licensed professional psychologists or psychiatrists. So please don't make any changes to any medication or treatments that you are currently on based on the conversation that you hear here today. Just hop on the bus and enjoy the ride. Trip with us on the Inner Revelation bus. That's right.
Hi, welcome back to the Hypno Travelers on the Magical Psyche Highway. I'm Jason, and we are excited today because we got a great guest. Yes, we have Todd Gaster. Todd, it's wonderful having you. Welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for doing this. I love being able to get on and talk to cool people and everything and connect, and so I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, I was too, and weren't you
Welcome,
too?
welcome. Heck yeah, we're ready.
That's right, that's right. So let's get started. Typical fashion. Todd, who are you and what do you do?
Oh, I've got a long story, so I'll try and keep it short here for you. Basically, we can sum it up as a life coach, certified and licensed trainer in LP, Neuro Semantics, coaching, on and on and on. But really what I do is I was married for 30 years. I worked with wealth, abundance, and prosperity mindset. I got a divorce after almost 30 years, and it pretty much crushed me. And so I realized there are so many men out there that don't have the support that they need after divorce. And so I retooled everything that I did, and now I work with divorced entrepreneurs on rediscovering their purpose, passion, power, and profit after their divorce.
Nice, nice. So let's talk
Awesome.
a little bit about that story, Todd. What
Sure.
was going on there? I know there might be a little bit of pain there, but we can go through it a little bit. That's where you get all that method of healing coming from. So let's talk about what that was like.
Well, I mean, it was definitely a problem. I mean, a gut punch. Like I said, we were high school sweethearts. We were together almost 30 years, and she decided that we didn't want the same things in life, which was interesting considering we'd grown up together. It was kind of one of those. Well, we became adults together. It's how do we now not want the same things? But anyway, that was her choice. But the thing about it is, it really made me question everything about myself. I question everything that I knew, everything that I've been teaching, all the coaching that I've done, everything that I've gone through. I really question all of it. And it literally, and when I say this, I mean literally, it dropped me to my knees in the middle of my friend's living room crying. It was just such an emotional, devastation. And I didn't realize how much it affected me, because part of it again is because of the image and beliefs and trainings and everything. I'm too good for that. That can't get me. I know better than that. I know how to process this. I know how to deal with this. I know how to heal for this. And so really for the first 3 years after the divorce, I burned everything I had to the ground. I destroyed all my relationships. I ended up homeless at one point. I was living in my car. I got addicted to, became an alcoholic. I was getting blackout drunk 3-4 nights a week, just so I didn't have to feel, just so I didn't have to think or, realize that what my life had become. And then about a year ago, someone convinced me to go to church, and I went to this church, and I'd been born and raised Catholic, and I had left the religion and the Catholic faith and everything behind, and someone convinced me to go to this church. It was non-denominational, and when I walked in, I literally heard a voice, say, "Welcome back. It's about time." And then a little bit later, I heard that same voice say, "Become the man that you needed." And so I retooled. It was like a huge wake up call. And I retooled everything that I had to work with divorced men.
Nice. So let me ask you a question. If you could change anything, would you?
No, absolutely not. It literally put me on my mission. I thought I knew what it was I was supposed to do. I thought I knew what my purpose was, but everything that transpired and how it went down and so forth, it built me so I could do what it is that I do.
And there seems to be quite a need for that. I'm divorced and so is Scott. And I know that there are a lot of people around the world that have been. However, fortunately, I've just celebrated 29 years married 2 days ago. So I'm pretty
Well,
excited.
congratulations.
You know,
Congratulations.
second time was a little bit better. So let's talk about you though for a second, because that's what we're here for today. So in this path you were working before as a life coach.
Yes, I've been a life coach for 20, 25, but before it was a thing. I've been, since, like 91, I think it was. Yeah, 91 is when I first started, yeah.
So what's the difference between now and then?
The biggest, everything is still the same except what my focus is and who I'm talking to. I'm still working with wealth and abundance mindset. I'm still doing that. But really what I'm doing is, because of everything that I went through personally, I've been able to connect on a deeper level with people. And I'm also, vulnerable. I blackout drunk 3-4 nights a week. I tell people that. I'm not hiding that. I'm not hiding the sedation. I lived in my car for a while. I'm not hiding it. It's part of my story. It's part of being real. And because of that, I've been able to connect with people on such a deeper level. And then when they tell me the stories and things that they've gone through, is number one is it doesn't shock me, because I've heard some crazy things that people have gone through in their divorce. But I feel like this really allows me to connect greater than I ever had before. And I thought I had a pretty good connection previously.
And it also sounds like your reconnection, I should say, started with God.
It did.
So what's that like? Let's define that for you.
So like I said a little bit ago, I was raised Catholic, and I was an altar boy. I did all the things, through my. I went to a Catholic high school for a week before I was told to leave, but that's another story. But I really, I didn't feel it was me. I didn't feel connected. There was just something about it I didn't like. It just didn't feel right. And so I left really all religion, all faith, everything. I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I did the typical thing that a lot of people do is, I'm spiritual, not religious, and it's their way of, how they can justify things to themselves. And I met this guy, and I'll just say it, he's really a piece of work. I'll say it nicely. And but they say, God uses the whatever, uses the people to get his message. And he kept convincing me and kept talking to me to go back to church. And I was like, I don't want any part of it. I don't want anything to do with it. And finally he wore me down. And I'm like, fine, I'll go just to shut you up. And so I walked into, it was a non-denominational church. I walked in, and as I walked in, I just started crying. I was like, what? And put my sunglasses on, pull my hat down, like nobody can see me. This is really strange. And then I heard that voice. It was like, welcome home. It's about time. And it was, I'm looking around, and it was the same as what I hear now, just in our conversation. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And so I started going every week, and just about every week for the first 3 months, when I walked into the church, I started crying. It was like, okay, all right, now we got to move up to the point where I can go to church and not cry. Can we get to that point? It's like, whatever. And then I started hearing voices. It's like, one time I heard, don't be so arrogant as to not forgive yourself for that which I've already forgiven you. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. And so I started collecting, when I would hear these voices, I started making memes and stuff so I could remember them, specifically what was said. But that was a big one for me, is don't be so arrogant as to not forgive yourself for that which I'd already forgiven you. Because like a lot of people, we like to beat ourselves up. We carry this shame and this guilt, and I call it shilt. We carry it around with us, and we use that to justify why we don't have what we have, or we don't chase our dreams, or I don't deserve this, or why we end up in toxic relationships and stuff, because of all of our shame and guilt, regrets, and things that we carry around. And so that was all part of what led me to where I am. But yeah, I would say my rebirth, if you want to go with rebirth or regeneration or whatever words you want to come from, came from walking into that damn church and accepting God back into my life.
So this voice you hear, does it come and talk to you when you're working with others, those men who are struggling? Does it talk to you then too?
I don't hear it as plain as day like I do, like I did those times, but it's a feeling that I get. Yeah, I definitely get a feeling when I'm working with others, when I'm talking with others, because there's things when I'm having my conversations with people and doing the coaching sessions. There's things after the session, I'm like, where in the hell did that come from? It was like some of the things that I've said, I was like, okay, that's just how where it doesn't make sense, because it's not in any book, it's not in any of my trainings that I've gone through, but it's like, this is the direction we're going to go in this session. And so it's definitely a feeling that I get, and I do feel a presence.
So that's here now. Was that here before?
It was, but not to the level that it is now. I always felt like I was guided when I was working with people. I've always felt that was part of who I am and part of my purpose, which is, like I said, I've been doing it since '91. But I didn't. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe the difference now than what it was before my divorce, because there absolutely is a difference. I'm not sure how to describe the difference.
So really what you're saying is your wife divorcing you did you a big favor.
Oh, I actually thanked her when the first time we saw each other after the divorce. It was like 2 or 3 years after the divorce. First time we saw each other, I thanked her. And she looked at me and she was like, "Why are you thanking me?" I said, "Because I never would have left you. And thank you for having the strength and the courage and stuff to do that." And because we definitely needed a divorce, but I wouldn't have left, because again, society and this, that, and other, and everything that I believed. And I was a coach, and one of the things that I coached on was relationships. I can't have a failed relationship if I'm coaching people on how to have So I never would have left her, but I did. I literally thanked her for divorcing me.
So you feel like there's a lot of men out there in a relationship they shouldn't be in?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Okay, Scott, do you have any questions you want to throw out there? I'm taking the whole show.
So tell us some of the things that you do to help men, after divorce. What are some of the techniques that you use?
Well, so there's a huge, right? Like I said, I'm a trainer of NLP, Neuro Semantics, meta coaching. I'm certified business performance coach. I mean, I used to travel around with Tony Robbins and stuff. So I mean, there's so many different techniques and things to go with. But the biggest thing that I work with the divorced entrepreneurs is really, in divorced men, is to regain their confidence. Nobody talks about the hit to their belief. Nobody talks about a person's confidence that takes a hit. We all talk about the time crunch, or the financial strain, or the lost relationship with the kids, or this, that, and that. But nobody talks about really this psychological aspect and the hit that a man takes as when he gets divorced, and the loss of the confidence and the doubting his judgment, and because nobody goes into a marriage thinking that, oh, I'm going to get divorced in a few years. Everyone goes into a marriage believing that this is forever. They believe in forever. They believe that this is the one. And when they have that divorce comes, well, what else was I wrong about? What else did I not? It's like the coffee stain principle. When you go into a restaurant or whatever, and there's this coffee stain on the table, it's so obvious. It's sitting right there. You see the coffee stain, but nobody else has cleaned it. Nobody else has done it. So now all of a sudden you're like, well, what else did they not clean? What else did they not deal with? So the same thing happens in our mind is, what else was I wrong about? And so one of the first things I do is I work with acceptance. So I talk about one of the techniques in neurosemantics is it's called acceptance, appreciation, and awe. It's really about esteeming yourself, taking control of your four core powers. There's two internal and two external: thinking, feeling, saying, and doing. All right, you are in charge of your thinking and feeling. All right, those are internal. What you say and you do are based on what you think and feel. So you got the two internal and two external. So one of the first things I do is getting a person to realize that they're in control of their thoughts. And if they're in control of their thoughts, they control their feelings. Feelings don't just happen. There's a trigger that triggers this feeling based on a thought that you have. Some outside event happens, and based on the meaning that you give to that event is going to trigger your feeling. And then based on that feeling, you're going to say and do something. So if we can start with the feeling, if we can start with your thoughts about that event, if we can control that, then we can do everything else. So we got the thinking, feeling, saying, and doing that we take control over 4 core powers. But then also we've got to accept. People think, well, I've got to like this in order to accept it. No, we accept stuff all the time that we don't like. Hell, I live out in Orange County, California. I'm in traffic all the damn time. I don't like it, but I accept it, right? It's part of I got to accept it. So first thing is we've got to accept whatever position we're in. That doesn't mean we're going to keep it. That doesn't mean we're going to like it. It doesn't mean that we're not going to change. But the first thing is to accept where we are. Then the next thing is appreciation. Okay, what can I appreciate about this? Because there's always something to appreciate. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what has happened. I don't care how bad it is. There's always something to appreciate. Just like this, it's really reframing the meaning of the divorce, right? I'm literally happy and thankful that my wife had the courage, my ex-wife had the courage to divorce me. I didn't think that in the beginning, but I do now. So I appreciate that. And then the third step, so we got acceptance, appreciation, and then the third step to really bringing in our inner esteem and regaining our confidence is to be in awe. To be in awe of ourselves. We all know something outside there. You can go out and maybe you see a star, or maybe you see a sunset, or maybe you see a baby, or whatever. These things that we generate this feeling of awe. And so I teach people how to bring that back and generate the feeling of awe for themselves. So when you accept yourself, you appreciate yourself. And when you're literally in awe of yourself, your confidence is back and you can go do whatever it is that you want to do.
So is all this in your book?
I've got different things in my book, but this technique, that everything that I just talked about there, no, this is not in my book. What I talk about in the book is going out and working out, getting a network, going out and talking to people, not sedating. So all these different things there. But yeah, there's definitely some techniques in the book.
So if the book is not sedating, then this is after the marriage and not prior to the marriage that you wrote.
No, I wrote the book after the marriage. Things that I did, like I started working out. I took up jiu-jitsu. I started doing, all these different things in order. I built a new network of people, because that's again something that a lot of people don't talk about in the marriage. Is your network of people is generally with your wife, your ex-wife. It's a whole new network now. It's a whole new thing. And so again, that's a benefit after the divorce, is you get to design it the way you want. A lot of people are living their life by default. They're just going on down the thing. This is the way it is. This is what happens. And so after the divorce, you are really unencumbered and you can design your life the way you want.
So this means that you're no longer sedated and drinking a lot, and you're not living in your car no more.
Correct. I do have my coffee though. Caffeine's my new thing. But yeah, I'm full of coffee.
So that said, let me ask you this: when did you have that moment, that aha moment, that I really can help people? Was this prior, or?
Oh yeah, this was definitely prior. So this would have been probably 1990. I read a book. I read one of Tony Robbins' books. I start, and just the way my brain works, I always got to do things in order. So I went out and I bought his book, Awaken the Giant Within. And I started reading that, and I realized that was his second book. So I put that down and I went back to the store and I bought his unlimited power book, because you got to do it in order. It's just the way my brain works. I got to do it in order. But it just made so much sense to me. It was just like, well, of course, this is obvious. You know, all the techniques and everything that he talked about, how he described it, I was like, well, this is obvious. And so I was like, okay, well, now I need to go to one of his seminars. And so I remember the first UPW that I walked into, and I just felt like I was home. It was like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is, you know, working with people, helping people to achieve, and so forth. And it was such a great moment. And then I traveled around with him for 6-7 years. You know, senior leader, trainer, and stuff with Tony. I ended up being a managing partner of one of the Tony Robbins franchise in Chicago. Ended up buying a Brian Tracy franchise at one point. You know, all these different things. But it just, everything that I've done has been an offshoot of helping people.
Nice. So I think you've already mentioned one, but I was going to ask you who your mentors are, and I think we already know. So let's take Tony out for a second. Who else are your mentors?
Okay. Well, and I mentioned Brian Tracy at one point also, but you know, really, so I've got the ones that I studied with. Michael Hall is one of the creators. Him and Bob Bodenheimer created Neuro Semantics, an offshoot of neuro-linguistic programming. When back in the 80s, Richard Bandler basically sued anybody and everybody for using his. This is why Tony Robbins changed it to neuro-associative conditioning instead of neuro-linguistic programming. Is Richard Bandler claimed a copyright and a trademark on neuro-linguistic programming. But Michael Hall is a very, very good mentor of mine. And the thing I like about Michael is he's a clinical psychologist as well. So he's a very, very detailed. When you think of someone who's clinical and testing and run trials and so forth, he's very, very detailed. And then I've studied with Richard Bandler, Tad James, the late Tad James, and John Laval. These are all people that I've spent time with and studied with and friends with, and they've got their phone numbers in my phone. I could reach out to them. So I did all of that, but then there's a different level of mentors. Garrett J. White, who's created Wake Up Warrior. It's a Wake Up Warrior movement. It's a men's empowerment group. There's more to it than that, but that's what he created. He and I became friends back in 2013. We were both in a mastermind together, and then he ended up mentoring me. And Ryan Stuman is another friend of mine. I don't know if you know these names or not. I mean, they're big in the men's world and so forth. I wouldn't call him a mentor, but Sean Whalen, he and I have definitely had chats and been through a lot of the same things. In fact, he's currently going through a divorce right now. He's the creator of Lions Not Sheep. So in my early days, there was a lot of mentors who were in specific, NLP, hypnosis, timeline therapy, meta coaching, that type of thing. And I would say in my latter years, it was more same type of techniques, but cultivated more towards men's and helping them and the groups and everything. I remember a conversation that I had with Garrett. And Garrett's a very hardcore, very just beat you in the head type of guy. And he told me, he says, you're going to reach people that I never could, and simply because of our different personalities and that type of thing. And I didn't understand it at the time when he told me that. I was like, dude, we do the same thing. We do this, that, but I understand it now. And so that's a long answer, to your question, but there's mentors everywhere. One of the things I talk about is I look for excellence everywhere. You can find excellence anywhere and everywhere. Just walking down the street, you can find excellence. You can take a lesson from that. You can somehow, some way. Some of the big names that are going on right now, like David Goggins. I mean, he's blowing up right now. Well, he's blown up for a few years, but Tim Grover, another great guy. So
So that said, what's your book called? That way we can let our viewers know.
It's Road to Redemption: Finding Success and Fulfillment After Divorce, and yeah, that's at toddgaster.com/redemption. So it's easy to, but it's a good book. Good book.
Nice, nice. Scott, you got anything else you want to throw out here?
Sure. So after you've helped these men regain their confidence, how do you help them find their passion? How do you help them identify that?
Well, that's part of the questioning down and everything is, people talk about their whys. This is why, this is what I do. This is type of, but people don't even know what their why is. And so I'll use an example. This was a couple years ago. Someone, their why or their passion and so forth was quilting. The strangest thing. This is back years ago when I worked with women too, quilting. And I was like, yeah, that's not your why. And she goes, no. This is my purpose. This is my why, and so forth. And through questioning, what we found was through quilting, she connected to her grandmother. So asking the questions, and she connected to her grandmother, was able to feel her grandmother, and then she was able to make decisions based on her grandmother and all this other quilt. In her mind, connected her to her grandmother, so she could go make the decisions that she needed to make. But I talk about really questions. Questions are so powerful. The right question asked at just the right time and can absolutely transform someone's life. And even if it's a question that they've been asked over and over and over, like, what is your why? What is your purpose? Why are you doing this? Right? When it's asked in the right way at the right time, it's a completely different question. And so people to rediscover what it is that they're doing and why they're doing what it is that they're doing. There was another guy that I helped that golf his deal. Well, we found out the golf was because he enjoyed the calculations that came with the golf, the wind, the exact stroke, and he used this, how far everything was, and the green, all these different things, all these calculations allowed him to settle and do, and that was part of getting. It was like, okay, where else can you get this same feeling? All right, where else can you get this feeling? What else can you do to and so it's really a series of questions to help someone realize what their true passions are, what their true gifts are.
Nice. So that said, how do people get a hold of you? I mean, and are you only dealing with men? Or are you dealing with women as well?
So I'm focused on men. A lot of my clients are women, though. I didn't realize when I started down this divorced male entrepreneur, I didn't realize how many women would reach out to me. Reasons that a lot of women reach out to me is because I've shown that there's a compelling divorce. And one of the things that keeps people in a marriage that they don't want to be in, keeps them in a relationship that they don't want to be in, is they're afraid of the future. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of what their finances are going to be. They're afraid of what their relationships with their kids. All these things come up. And so they just stay stuck where they are instead of doing anything. And once people have seen that I show that there's a compelling future, now all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute. I can step out. I can do things. I can really have the life that I was designed to live. I can really be happy. And so my marketing and everything that I do is towards men, but yeah, I'd say I'm 50-50 on my clients. I work with a lot of women. So,
well, how do our viewers reach you?
So the easiest way, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever, at Todd Gaster. It's the same thing there. You could also go to toddgaster.com. I've got at toddgaster.com there is a 26-minute video, free online masterclass. You got to use the word free online masterclass, 26 minutes long, and that'll really open up some eyes. It's a great training. And that's at toddgaster.com. But you can find me Instagram. And I started TikTok recently. We got a TikTok now, Gaster. So you can find me anywhere.
Nice.
And my email is easy as well. Todd at toddgaster.com. It's everything is Todd Gaster.
Nice.
Yeah, great.
Scott, you got anything you want to throw out?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you for taking time out of your day for coming and spending it with us. Coming and letting us go down your magical psyche highway today.
Oh, I appreciate the offer, and I, like I said, I always love talking to people, and this is great. I know there are so many people out there that are just looking for anything that they could grab onto for a little bit of hope, and I would say that's, if I can give any one thing, is your life didn't end with your divorce. That is, and I was talking to someone yesterday about this, doubting their business. You didn't lose your business acumen when you got a divorce. It's all there. Life doesn't end with divorce. There's a future, there's hope there, and it's really life by design now.
Nice.
So.
Now, that said, I got one more question for you, because we talked a lot about divorce and separation and how many people need to be divorced. What about the other side of that? Are there many that need to stay married and work at it through this thing?
Yes, there are. And so way back when, and you asked that question, way back when. So I've gone through several stages of my coaching. I've worked with bullied kids for a little while. I worked when I did the bullied kids. I had this program called Inner Esteem, which is the acceptance, appreciation, and all comes from. And then from there, I did relationships. We said that we were the divorce intervention specialist. You came to us when everything else is done. You came to us after you'd already been to the attorneys, and then we put it back together. And there absolutely are some people that need to stay together. There are some people that just can't seem to get out of their own way to make the marriage work. There's some people that passion and everything is there, and they just need to understand communication it needs to. There's so many things that go with that. I hate the fact that we're running a 50% divorce rate. Yeah, it's ridiculous to me, but we are. And one of the things that I learned way back when from Tony Robbins is you need to see life as it is, not better than it is, not worse than it is, as it is. And once you see it as it is, then you can go make the changes. Then you can go make the improvements. But the problem is we like to look at it either as, oh my God, the world is ending, or rose-colored glasses. And when you're in either of those, you can't actually change and work on what is here. And that's one of the things that happens with relationships. I heard someone talk about the other day is why people cheat. Is they're with somebody who has 80% of everything that they want. They have, they check all the boxes, 80%, 80%, 80%. And when everything is going well in the marriage and everything is going well in the relationship, that 80% is enough. But as soon as you have a fight, as soon as things are not going well, all you were focused on is the 20% that person doesn't have. And then you happen to be walking the street, you see someone who has that 20%. And this is where then cheating happens and all this other stuff. And they go and they get that 20% filled. They're missing out on 80%. So it's when we're looking at these extremes that challenges happen. So yes, I absolutely love helping people to stay together as well.
Nice. Okay, so now we got one more question, the big question. Or do you have anything else you want to add first?
No, I think I've kind of gone in and out here. I think we're good. I think we hit a few different tangents. So,
but we haven't hit the big question yet. Here's the big question.
Right.
What are the words of wisdom you're going to leave our viewers with?
Well, I kind of alluded to that just a couple minutes ago, but it isn't over because your marriage ends. And the simple reframe is your relationship isn't over. Maybe it was complete. And if you look at your relationship as complete versus over, it takes a charge. It takes a charge off of the emotions. It's one of the things that, real quick, is I'll give you another example about how words and so forth are so, is people about, say money is the root of all evils. Back when I was doing, wealth and mindset coaching, money is the root of all evil. I was like, well, what is money? And through questioning, we'll get to money as a tool. Okay, what are other tools? I'll say a hammer, or a screwdriver. Like, okay, now I want you to say hammers are the root of all evil. And they always laugh. And it's like, yeah, because now the charge is gone. You just took the charge off of that statement. Same thing with your relationship with someone who's got a divorce. If you all of a sudden, if you're looking at your marriage as complete versus over, different feeling.
Nice. Well, it's been a pleasure traveling down your magical psyche highway there, Todd. We certainly appreciate you coming out and being here. And Scott, you want to say anything at the end here?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for all your advice.
Well, I appreciate it. And thank you again for the platform and the opportunity to get on here and talk to your listeners and your viewers and everything. And I love sharing the message. As cliche as it sounds, I love sharing the message of hope.
Nice.
That's really what it is. So,
well, once again, we have definitely enjoyed going down your magical psyche highway. And for our viewers out there, we're glad that you're here too. If you like us, give us a thumbs up. If you think we're assholes, give us the thumbs down. We don't care. We're just glad you're here. And we hope you come back next week too. So thanks for coming to the show and thanks for being here with us. And please share it with your friends. Okay, we'll see you next week.
Wow, what a trip. Thanks for taking that journey with us today. Please like us, share us, and enlighten us with your views of the topics we drove into today. We appreciate you and love reading your comments. Thanks again, and we hope to see you back on the bus next week. That's right.